This is Democracy Watch. Mark, we've got a dangerous update here as far as Trump purging the government of federal officials is concerned. I'm going to put a tweet from Ken Delaney from NBC up on the screen. Several top FBI executives promoted by Director Christopher Wray were told today to resign or retire and told that they will be demoted or reassigned if they don't leave. This includes about half a dozen executive assistant directors, who are some of the Bureau's top managers. They oversee criminal, national security, and cyber investigations. They are career civil servants, so cannot be fired without cause. And then we have an update to that tweet where the Washington Post is reporting that it's not just several top FBI executives, it's actually hundreds of FBI agents that may be included in this as well. First and foremost, Ken Delaney had mentioned in his tweet that these are career civil servants. They cannot be fired without cause. So how is Trump able to do this and just fire these folks en masse without cause?
Yeah, he's not legally able to do it, but this is part of a larger disturbing trend we have been seeing now over the last few days. Remember, we saw them fire prosecutors who were connected to Jack Smith. Right. Remember, we saw the essentially the go home and don't come back, don't call us, we'll call you loyalty suspensions of people in the national security apparatus. And of course, we have seen the completely unlawful acts of the administration to try to freeze funding, right? So we are seeing across the board an effort to replace career civil servants, particularly those that are in national security, that are in the Department of Justice, that are in the FBI. We are seeing a systematic effort to target them and replace them with Donald Trump's loyalists. And we also saw news that more than a half dozen FBI field office directors, right? These are the top agents who run the field offices of the FBI out in the states, that they are also being targeted. So I think before all is said and done, we're going to see Donald Trump try to replace not just the U.S. attorneys with his political cronies, some of which you've already seen, but also, as you say, the top echelon of the FBI, the top echelon of the intelligence operations, the top echelons of the people who run the immigration courts, another group that we've talked about. We're going to see them try to target all of these people, and they don't care that there are rules that protect these people. They don't care that there are civil service rules. They want to replace these people, and they are going to fire first or intimidate first and ask questions later, because that is what authoritarians do. And Donald Trump is an authoritarian.
So in terms of recourse here, first of all, are the only people who can actually seek a remedy here, are these the people that were impacted themselves? So if we're going to see these people retain their jobs or bring suit so that they can rectify this issue, it has to be the people themselves who were fired. And then the follow-up to that, if that is the case, what if they don't have the resources to go up against Donald Trump and Elon Musk and the federal government?
Right. And even worse than that, what if they are afraid that Donald Trump will tell Kash Patel to open a criminal investigation into them?
Right.
Right. What if he tells the Department of Justice, the new Attorney General, hey, anyone who doesn't cooperate with us, why don't you dig into their emails? Why don't you dig into their documents? Why don't you open a grand jury investigation into their taxes? Right. So the threat that's being faced by these government officials is not just the cost of bringing litigation, but it is the cost to them of having a weaponized federal government, a weaponized Department of Justice, a weaponized IRS, going after them. And, they also face the possible risk that Donald Trump and Kash Patel and Pam Bondi and others will say, fine, we're not going to fire you. We're going to demote you. We're going to attack your pension. Right. We're going to attack your credibility. We're going to unleash the hordes of trolls, or even worse, on the outside against you. So the level of intimidation that we are starting to see unfold, or the threat of the level of intimidation that we're going to start to see unfold, is like nothing we have seen in recent times. We've already seen large segments of the business community not stand up to Donald Trump. We have seen large segments of the legacy media not willing to stand up to Donald Trump. So let me ask you this. If a billionaire is not willing to stand up to Donald Trump, if the owner of a multi-million dollar or billion-dollar legacy media organization is not willing to stand up to Donald Trump, if the well-known hosts, not singling out any by name, if the well-known hosts of cable news shows are not willing to stand up to Donald Trump, it's really a lot to be asking these individual FBI agents or prosecutors, or for that matter, people who work in other parts of the federal government, for them to stand up. I'm not saying that they shouldn't. I think everybody needs to stand up. I think now is the time to steel our spines. Now is the time not to back down. Now is the time to show courage. But you have to ask yourself, if you're in their shoes and you're looking around saying, who else is standing up to Donald Trump? Why should I be the one?
Do you think that we may be more likely to see some of these otherwise anonymous folks actually stand up against Trump because they're not overexposed? They're not leveraged by virtue of other properties that require sign off with the federal government. Like, we've talked about how, you have these billionaires with their hands in 10, 20, 30 different projects, and you think that they're these all-powerful beings, but in fact, because they have so much exposure in front of the federal government, they're actually weaker than folks like you. Like when we talk about legacy media versus independent media, you can do what Jeff Bezos and the billionaire owner of the LA Times can't do, because they have other projects in front of the federal government. So you can go to Donald Trump and say, fuck you, in the way that they can't say that. But so for that exact reason, do you think that these folks who are at the FBI may be more predisposed to being able to stand up to him because they don't have other projects that require Donald Trump's sign off in the federal government?
I think some of them, yeah. I mean, I think, look, if there's one thing that we learned throughout the Trump era, is that heroes tend to come from the places you don't expect it. The heroes didn't come from the Republican appointees. The heroes didn't come from the cabinet. The heroes came from Shea Moss, right? Yeah. Who stood up. The heroes in the Trump administration, I mean, they didn't come from, the chief of staff. They came from Cassidy Hutchinson, right? Who, despite her proximity to power, was actually in a very low level position, right? But she was willing to be the one to stand up and do the right thing. Right. And so I think you may very well be right that we will actually see the line FBI agents, the line prosecutors, the people who don't have, as you say, are not leveraged against the federal government, are not trying to write a book because they are high-ranking government officials. They may very well be the ones who wind up being the heroes of the next story. And it's important that we have those heroes' backs. I was a big critic of all of the praise that was lauded on the likes of Brad Raffensperger. Brad Raffensperger is just a Republican vote suppressor who didn't commit a felony on behalf of Donald Trump. But the real heroes were the Shea Mosses. The real heroes were the Cassidy Hutchinsons. The real heroes were the people who didn't have exalted positions of power and who stood up. And I think you're seeing that right now. You mentioned the media. Right now, the folks who are standing up to Donald Trump and his administration are the members of the independent media. It's not the Jeff Bezoses. It's not the CBS Newses. It's not the ABC Newses. It's not the multi-billion-dollar corporations. It is the folks who have committed that they are, in times of great turmoil and trouble in this country, going to say, I am not going to bow down. I am not going to obey. One of the things that you and I did that seemed to capture the public's imagination almost more than anything else and go somewhat viral is when I said, I can say to Donald Trump, fuck you. And Jeff Bezos can't. And Elon Musk can't. And now I could add a lot of other people. Mark Zuckerberg can't. Sherry Redstone can't. The heads of ABC News, they can't. I don't think anyone at CNN would be willing to do that. But I can say that on your YouTube channel. And you can publish it. And that makes us more powerful than all of those billionaires, than all of those cable news executives, than they'll ever be.
Perfectly put. And again, that underscores the importance of supporting fearless, independent journalism like yours at Democracy Docket. I'll put the link to Democracy Docket right here on the screen and also in the post description of this video. Again, for those who are watching right now, if you want to support those who are actually willing to meet this moment with the urgency it deserves, please make sure to sign up for Democracy Docket. I'm Brian Tyler Cohen.
I'm Marc Elias.
This is Democracy Watch.